Hello and welcome to the Authority of Love. I'm your host, David Walls, Executive Director of the Family Foundation, and today is a special edition of our Family Foundation Friday episodes. I'll be back with Greg next week, but today I'm excited to be joined by a very special guest, our good friend, Kentucky State Senator Robby Mills. Senator Mills is a great pro-family champion, and he's actually going through the 2025 Statesman Academy, hosted by our great national allies at Family Policy Alliance. Senator Mills is a believer, a father, a grandfather, a small business owner in Henderson, Kentucky, and he also now serves as a member of the Senate leadership as the Majority Caucus Chair. So Thank you, Senator Mills, for being with us.
Thank you, David. Glad to be here, and we're having a good time here over one state over.
That's right. Yeah. So just to give a little bit of context, we're actually attending this week. There's several conferences going on. One hosted by our Family Policy Council friends and our allies in about 40 different states, have organizations that do similar work to the Family Foundation. And then, as I mentioned, our national ally does a great program called the Statesman Academy, where they invite Christian legislators and train them up. And then there's also a social conservative SoCon, as it's known, going on right now as we speak. So we're here kind of at Radio Row here at SoCon. And so I'm excited. We've already had a lot of great information, but just want to talk a little bit, since we've got Senator Mills here with us. We've got the Save Women's Sports law banner behind here, and as our supporters know, in 2022, Kentucky passed the Save Women's Sports law with Senator Mills being the lead sponsor of that bill. We now have 27 states that have passed at least, I believe, similar legislation. And as we talked about last week on the program, the U.S. Supreme Court has now taken up several Save Women's Sports cases, and it's going to be argued in the upcoming term. So this continues to be an important issue. But first, let me just ask you, Senator Mills, what made the work that you were a part of, and so many in the General Assembly over the last couple of years, to protect our female athletes? What drove you to do that?
Well, I think it was just really a fairness issue. I mean, I had a daughter at home, played sports and cheered, and I talked about this issue several years before we passed it. It was like a 3-year journey of working on this bill. But I think it was just the fairness to women. I just saw this as a coming cultural issue, and it's really amazing how this has become the political issue for social conservatives over the last 2 or 3 years. So great, and we had great allies. You brought Riley Gaines on board. That's kind of really sparked her. Being what I would call kind of a media star now.
Oh, my goodness.
And every time I see her, she's like, Senator Mills, I can't believe you did this to me.
No, let's talk a little bit about that, because I remember it was the legislature had passed, I believe it was Senate Bill 83.
It was
the governor, and I'm never going to not drumbeat on this. Yeah. Our Governor Andy Beshear, vetoed the Save Women's Sports law. The legislature was poised to override the veto, and then I think really in the veto override period, the Riley Gaines story broke into national news. She had started to do a few interviews, and then she came, I think, at your invitation to the Kentucky Capitol. I met her the first time. She was sitting by herself in the Senate gallery.
I know.
And then she did a press conference after the bill was after y'all overrode the governor's veto. But man, what a amazing to see how one person standing up for what's right. Now she literally is impacted an entire generation of female athletes across the country.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really just a God thing. I mean, she was a shy young lady that just was a swimmer and a tremendous athlete, and she just the first words she said were just powerful, and God's used her amazingly over these last 2 or 3 years. And now she's speaking into empowering girls, and it's going a lot further than just the legislation.
I've seen her, sharing her pro-life convictions and being involved in pro-life work. But again, not to spend the whole time talking about Riley Gaines, but she and the issue of recognizing what was taken from female athletes continues to be in the news. Of course, we believe we talked on this program, Senator Mills, a couple weeks ago about the big news that the University of Pennsylvania has now come out and essentially apologize
Yeah.
to female athletes like Riley Gaines.
Personalized notes from the president. Amazing.
It is amazing to see how these things have turned. But news this week, I saw a press release from our Attorney General in Kentucky, Attorney General Coleman, and he signed on to a letter with a number of state attorneys generals from across the country urging the NCAA to fully restore the records of those that were female athletes that were wrongfully erased by male competitors across the country. And we're going to join in calling that, in calling the NCAA to step up and do the right thing.
Yeah, I think, once again, I think this all goes back to, Christian believers, talking about this issue, talking to their legislators, and the ball started rolling, and it's still rolling, the injustice that was done to these athletes. I mean, I believe Riley was given a lesser medal and told that the transgender person that she tied with was going to get the 6th place medal. She would get the 7th place medal. Now, that's terrible. That's bad. And you know what that does to young people when they've worked their whole lives to try to get to a certain point. They put their sweat and tears into their sport. It's just deflating, and these girls need to have that recognition.
No, absolutely. And it's even bigger than that because and we were referencing, Leah Thomas, the male swimmer who switched, I think, in just 1 year and started swimming against females. It's not just what happened to Riley. It's what are all the different races that you had to qualify along the line to get all the way to the NCAA championships and all the lost opportunities that were done. So again, we're thankful for Attorney General Coleman and a strong coalition of states that's urging the NCAA to do the right thing. We continue to be thankful for what the Trump administration is doing on this issue and so many others as well. Right. But I also wanted to mention, Senator Mills, some other kind of breaking news related to some other legislation that you and the General Assembly this last session, earlier this year, were involved in passing, and that was Senate Bill 2. Right. Now, this was legislation to ensure that our tax dollars are not used to pay for gender transitions of convicted felons that are in prison. It still sometimes boggles my mind, Senator, the issues that we have to deal with. But once again, this was forced because of the actions of our governor. Yeah,
I just think that when people hear that, they're like, that should not be happening.
Right.
And even legislators, when we told them that this was happening in Kentucky prisons, and they're like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And we dug, and sure enough, there's a person right now that is suing over this issue.
Yeah.
And it's just an amazing thing that we are spending tax dollars for these drugs on, what appears to be at least one convicted murderer.
Yes. No. And thankful for the work and the leadership of the Senate on this issue. Obviously, the House passing it as well, but I know Senator Wilson, who serves in Senate leadership with you, carried that bill, shepherded it. But you mentioned there was a new lawsuit that was just filed this week by the ACLU, and I continue to be just kind of mind-boggled by some of the actions of the ACLU now. They have filed a lawsuit, as you kind of alluded to, challenging SB 2 on behalf of a convicted murderer in prison in Kentucky. And their argument is that there's a constitutional right for a murderer in prison to have our tax dollars pay for a gender transition.
Yeah, I just don't believe that.
No, I don't either. But it just really shows you the situation and really how the radical left is continuing to dig in, even though what we've seen, and you and I at this conference this week have heard just some of the ways in which some of these issues were what animated voters in Kentucky and across this nation to get out and vote and say, we want to return to common sense.
Absolutely.
We want to return to values that represent Americans and certainly Kentuckians.
Yeah, the two-party system that used to be there, everybody said, all Americans are in the middle. I mean, the left, the Democrats have slid way off the charts. And common sense government is what people want. People want their money spent on roads, bridges, water projects, things that are 30, 40, 50 years down the road, those investments are still being used by the citizens, not like crazy things like paying for hormones for a convicted murderer that thinks a male that thinks he's a female.
Yeah.
It's just crazy things.
Yeah, as we've continue to see efforts at the federal level, and certainly there needs to be more to rein in, just these examples that we've seen, whether it be from Doge or others,
Right.
Our tax dollars being wasted. Again, bringing it right home to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, how our tax dollars were being wasted,
Yeah.
and again, this was efforts that was being led by our governor. So thankful that,
Right.
that Senate Bill 2 passed. I'm thankful that I know the Attorney General is going to be defending it against this challenge by the ACLU. Well, let's turn back for just a minute about the ongoing conference that you've
Right.
been participating in. Any topics or panels that you thought have been interesting that we've been a part of so far?
Yeah, we've been talking about a lot of social conservative issues. We've been getting practical elected official training. But one of the things that's really caught my attention is just the abortion pill or medicine. It might be referred to as a chemical abortion. A couple of years ago, I ran a bill related to that, and now it seems like that is the main way, unfortunately, that abortions are occurring in America and even in Kentucky, even though we have an almost 100% restriction on abortions surgeries, but these pills are making their way into the state. So we need to look into that. We need to tighten our laws and figure out how we can make sure that these medicines aren't making their way in through the mail, through to unsuspecting people that might take these abortion drugs.
Yeah, it really is the battle right now
Yeah.
on the abortion issue. It's dealing with the chemical abortion pill, and while we continue to be thankful for the pro-life laws in Kentucky and thankful that those laws all of them continue to remain in effect.
Yeah.
The reality is Kentucky, just like many places across the country, dealing with these mail order chemical abortion pills coming in, and as we talked about, there was a big report that came out. You probably heard about this a couple of months ago, pointing out that the harm that they do to women.
Yeah.
And I think I forget the statistic, but I think it was something of the order of 10 times, maybe more than that, more dangerous than what the FDA has said they actually
Yeah.
are as it relates to the woman taking the pill. Obviously, every time one of these pills is successful,
Yeah.
we're talking about ending the life of an unborn child, but then the complications that come
Yeah.
for the woman, and we're still dealing with the after effects of the Biden administration and how it removed any protocols and protections that had been in place. So I too, I would say that was one of the most eye-opening conversations that I heard and was a part of, and certainly something that I think in Kentucky and a number of other pro-life states still needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. We Kentucky's leading on a lot of these issues, and I just want to make sure that you guys get recognition for the work that you do at the Capitol and the information that you bring to the legislators and the education that you bring to us as well. We all work together as a team, and we're having success in Kentucky on multiple fronts.
Absolutely, and I just want to mention too, we're excited. I know Senator Tishner's going through the Statesman Academy as well, and has been here. So, well, Senator Mills, thank you for your work.
David.
Thank you for joining us. And as I close here today, as Greg likes to say, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your prayers. Thanks always to the Lord. Make it a great day in Christ. I'm David Walls with the Family